If you're looking to secure your home and deter potential intruders, the best way to do that is with some security cameras. The Defender 4K 4-camera 1TB kit is available from Amazon or direct from defender-usa.com. Now that's a lot of fours, but it should mean that if the worst should happen, you'll have an absolutely crystal clear picture of the bad guy. At $450, it certainly isn't cheap by any means, but it is good value when you consider all the bits that you're getting inside the kit. And this includes the main digital video recorder box, complete with 1TB internal hard drive to store masses of footage. You're also going to get a network cable, power supply and HDMI cable, though a monitor is not included. Then you get 4 identical 4K wired CCTV cameras, which work with BNC video and DC power cabling. Some mounting bits for each with drill guide, and you get a single separate power supply with 4 DC tails for connecting to the cameras. In addition to all that, you also get a little mouse for operating the CCTV system and reviewing footage directly on the unit itself. Of course, you also get 4 cables. Now these are 60 foot long or around 18.2 meters. These carry both the video and power to each camera. Realistically, this should be more than enough for most homes. However, it is worth noting that no audio is recorded or transmitted over these cables. It's just video only for CCTV. As should probably be expected, installing a wired CCTV cam, physically installing it into your property, is a lot harder than a wireless system. Expect to spend a good day or so drilling holes, laying cables and making everything neat. Before you get to that stage, however, you will of course want to spend some time planning out precisely where you want to put your cameras and where the cables will reach if you're not going to buy additional cables. While 60 feet of cable sounds like a lot and is probably enough for most people, remember that you may also need to route that cable up and down walls as well as through roof soffits in order to reach where your cameras are. You can buy additional or longer cables, however, Defender doesn't guarantee that they will work with this system. I picked up a 50-meter cable off of Amazon. Now this was just a fairly cheap RG59 rated shotgun CCTV cable, and that worked absolutely fine for me. You also need to think about the position of your router or install a very long Ethernet cable, since this unit does require connection to your network if you're going to use the mobile app and networked features. There's no wireless connection inside the box, so in order to view the footage from your app, you will need to plug in an Ethernet cable directly to your router or to another switch on your network. Once you have everything wired up and plugged in, go ahead and start up the unit. You'll need to run through a relatively short first-time setup, and the quick start guide walks you through that easily. The only trouble I had was entering an IP cam verification code, which isn't actually used on this system, but you still have to enter one anyway. And apparently you can't get away with a 0, it has to be at least 8-character mixed alphanumeric or something. Obviously this is a generic operating system that's used on all of the Defender systems, and you'll find a couple of little quirks throughout the system. For instance, there's an analytics icon on the main screen with a shiny new label on it. However, you can't use that because that only works with IP cameras, whereas this is only a wired system, so you'll just want to ignore that icon. If you're upgrading from another Defender system though, then you'll probably appreciate this anyway, given that it means you'll have a familiar interface. And anyone familiar with CCTV systems in general should have no problem with this. In terms of image quality, these are 8 megapixel or 4K resolution cameras, and this is the highest resolution I've personally ever seen in a CCTV camera. Obviously, resolution and clarity, quality of image, is really the most important factor you want to consider when looking at security cameras. If you can't see what you're recording, it's useless. So the image quality on these seems great. You get incredible clarity, at least in daytime view. Night vision is okay. It doesn't have a massive array of IR LEDs to illuminate the area, but it does have a few and it can see pretty well. The only real downside to these cameras, as I mentioned, is that you don't get audio, and the field of view is actually quite small compared to others that I've tested. So you will need to be quite careful when positioning them. For comparison's sake, I put one of these cameras directly next to a competitor's model, a 5 megapixel Reolink camera that I have on front of the house. It's a PoE powered network cam rather than wired, but just to demonstrate the difference in field of view. As you can see, checking the resolution of the footage, while the Defender's much higher resolution, you get a much smaller field of view. Despite being pointed at exactly the same angle, you're just not seeing as much. So positioning these cams will be critical. On the flip side, it does mean that the pixels per angle of view are significantly higher on this. So assuming you manage to capture the bad guy on camera, the clarity you get of them is going to be much better on these rather than giving you a bigger overall picture of the area. So I would say these particular cameras are perfect for watching something close up that's about 5 to 10 meters away, or for getting an even broader picture of something further than that, but probably less useful for placing directly outside your front door. You may end up with some blind spots either side. Trying to transmit 4K video over a simple analog cable means that something else needs to be given up, and in this case recording is capped at 8 frames per second. Now, I don't think this is a huge issue. It's really more important to get that resolution and clarity captured rather than being able to see their breakdancing moves in perfect fluid motion, but something to bear in mind. What's far more important is that you can zoom in and see their face. So you can operate this Defender 4K system in motion active event recording or just 24/7. And personally, I prefer 24/7 always on recording mode if you have the space to do it, which you do in this unit because it has a 1 terabyte drive in it. It's simply because if something does happen and maybe there was an issue with the motion, they didn't move quickly enough, I don't know, maybe it didn't record, at least you can still pull up that time of day and just say, well, this is everything that happened at that time. Here, have a look. That said, recording in 24/7 mode does take up a lot of space, obviously, and you are limited to around 12 days worth of footage if you are recording all the time. By default, older footage is going to be automatically overwritten once you've run out of space. In terms of viewing the footage, you have two main options. The first is to attach a TV or monitor directly to the recording unit itself. Now, you'll need to do this anyway for setup, but afterwards you could feasibly remove it if you wanted to. I just wouldn't recommend it. There are other devices out there, I think, which would be better for you. The strength of this is really having that attached and being able to view it 24/7 on a live stream. Naturally, 4K monitors are supported, and when viewing over HDMI with a 4K monitor on a single camera stream, you will get the full benefit of that 4K resolution. Although obviously if you have 4 cameras on screen at the same time, you'll only be able to see each one at 1080p, but rest assured they're still being recorded at 4K in the background. So attaching a monitor is a pretty self-explanatory way to be able to view all the monitor streams at once or to cycle through them one by one. And I won't talk too much in depth about that. Suffice to say, it's pretty easy to look up past clips and scrub through them on the system itself. The other option, assuming you've got everything connected correctly to your network via an Ethernet cable, is to use the mobile app. Confusingly, the app is called Defender 24/7 with a Defender 4K icon. However, don't get the apps confused. They do also have a Defender HD app, and that's for last generation model. They're not cross-compatible. It's also worth noting that there isn't a desktop app, nor do I think one is planned or in the works. So if you did want to view these live from your desktop, from your Windows or Mac desktop somewhere else, you can't do it on here. However, given that you can connect a monitor directly to the unit itself, I don't think this is a huge issue, just something you might have wanted. The app itself is quite simplistic, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I found it to be responsive and it didn't crash. In terms of overall usability, this is clearly a pro-level package at a budget price point, and that means there's a myriad of configuration options and tweaking that you'll need to do in order to get it to work right perfectly for your situation. The options menu is bewilderingly complex, even for a geek like myself. For anyone familiar with CCTV systems, I don't think it'll be that complicated, but you'll want to delve in there anyway and tweak things. Although motion event recording is supported, I found setting it up to send notifications to my phone to be a little bit too complicated. So in order to get it working, you have to both enable push notifications in the app, alarm notifications on the device config, and on the device side you need to turn on motion alarms for each camera and then go into the motion settings, linkage action, and enable notify surveillance center. Ideally, this would be a single toggle on and off, but sadly it's not. Once I'd done all that and turned down the sensitivity a bit, I did find it was very reliable though. It sends a preview thumbnail. It was fast, reliable, worked as intended, but was just really complicated to set up for the first time. So now we get to the really important bit. Do I recommend and should you buy a Defender 4K system? Well, at $450 for a 4-camera 4K system complete with a 1 terabyte drive in the recording unit, everything all as one kit, I think it represents great value for money. You're getting stunningly good picture quality, albeit with a fairly small field of view, so you will need to be careful with positioning them. But bear in mind that this is strictly a CCTV kit. The lack of audio makes it unsuitable for applications like a doorbell camera. And while the mobile app is simple, functional and reliable, overall the system is pretty complicated to set up. Obviously, a wired system of any kind is going to take more effort to install in the first place because you've got to run wires. But on the upside, you don't need to worry about whether you can get reliable Wi-Fi connections to that remote spot. Also, you don't need to worry about it slowing down your home network. When not live viewing over the app, there's absolutely no traffic generated on your network at all, and you can watch all of those feeds on the connected monitor directly without ever having used up any of your valuable home bandwidth. However, if you're looking for something that your elderly parents could set up themselves, or something with stronger app and notification supports, I don't think this is it. This system is aimed strictly at a DIY competent home user or small business owner. There are much more user-friendly options out there, but you're going to pay more for them. Anyway, I hope this review has helped to give you a rundown of the Defender 4K system and to make up your mind about whether it's appropriate for you or not. If it has, please do me a solid and hit the like button. It really does help. If it hasn't, and if you still have questions, do hit me up in the comments. I'll do my best to answer if I can. Be sure to subscribe. We do 2 reviews and giveaways every single week, as well as the occasional tech tips, tricks and tutorials from all of us over at makeuseof.com. Thanks for watching and do stay safe in this increasingly mad world. All right, guys, if you made it this far, you'll know that we have a competition to give away a complete Defender 4K kit, including the 1 terabyte drive system and 4 4K cameras to one lucky winner. All you need to do to win is head on over to the link in the description to the full review article or go to makeuseof.com/giveaways. There you'll find a competition widget. Pop your details in there and you'll be in with a chance of winning. However, to increase your chances of winning, be sure to enter the bonus code ICU in 4K and you'll get some bonus entries in the competition. Entries close in about 3 weeks and the winner will be contacted by email. So please add competitions@makeuseof.com to your address book to make sure our email doesn't go into your spam box. Good luck and we'll see you next time.